What is the Responsible Corporate Officer Doctrine? Have you ever wondered how corporate leaders can be held accountable for their company's actions? The Responsible Corporate Officer Doctrine is a key legal principle that addresses this very issue. This doctrine holds corporate executives criminally liable for certain violations committed by their corporation, even if they did not directly participate in the wrongdoing. It mainly applies to public welfare offenses, often misdemeanors, where strict liability is imposed to ensure that corporations are held accountable for their actions. To understand this doctrine better, let's break down its key elements. First, the individual must hold a high-level position within the corporation, such as an officer, director, or manager. This role gives them the authority and control over corporate policies and operations. Because of this authority, they have the power to prevent or correct violations that occur within the company. Next, the officer must have actual knowledge or constructive knowledge of the violation. Constructive knowledge means they should have known about the violation, even if they did not have direct involvement. The law does not require proof of intent, but it does focus on whether the officer was aware of any misconduct. Another important aspect is the failure to prevent or correct the violation. If the officer becomes aware or has reason to be aware of a violation, they must take reasonable steps to address it. This could involve implementing adequate controls or responding to warning signs that indicate wrongdoing. The doctrine originated from two significant United States Supreme Court cases, United States v. Dotterweich and United States v. Park. These cases establish that corporate officers can be held strictly liable for violations of the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, even without personal fault. The goal here is to protect public health and safety by holding those in charge accountable. From a law school perspective, the Responsible Corporate Officer Doctrine is important because it departs from traditional criminal liability, which typically requires criminal intent. Instead, it imposes strict liability on corporate officers, meaning they must actively oversee and control corporate activities to avoid liability. In practice, this means corporate officers need to maintain effective compliance programs and internal controls. They should respond promptly to any signs of wrongdoing within the corporation. The doctrine serves as a deterrent against corporate misconduct by holding leadership personally accountable. It is often invoked in cases involving food and drug safety, environmental laws, and other regulatory offenses that affect public welfare. In essence, the Responsible Corporate Officer Doctrine is a strict liability rule that holds corporate leaders criminally responsible for corporate violations. This applies when they have the authority and fail to prevent or correct wrongdoing, regardless of intent or direct participation. Understanding this doctrine is essential for anyone preparing for the bar exam, especially in the context of business associations.